Hey everyone, my name is David, and in 90 days, I scaled my AI and automation agency to 11,600 per month. I primarily sell sales systems, but before I got there, I learned a bunch of different workflows, custom builds, and things of that nature. So in this video, I'm going to share with you one of these custom workflows that you can use and sell today to local service providers. This is a workflow within N8N that allows for a service provider, like a remodeling company, for example, to automatically draft and generate a contract and send it to somebody. In this case, it's going to be a subcontractor, and then this workflow is going to collect the new signature and store it into their database. So this saves service providers anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. And if they're sending out a lot of contracts, you can see how they can easily recoup hours every single week. So that's what I'm going to show you. Why don't I just go over into the demo? This is the end of the build, and you'll see what's happening first, and then we'll go into the tutorial. So what we have here is a system that automatically sends out contracts, pre-fills them based off a custom GPT. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save. I'm going to turn on the workflow, and it's 2 steps. It's super easy. And this example is to stimulate your brain to allow you to think of how you can implement this for local service providers and save them anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes when generating their contracts by just talking to a chatbot, right? It's that easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our chatbot or our custom GPT, and I'm going to say, hey, send a new contract. Cool. So the client name, let's say the client name is Jimmy Hendricks. Client email, let's do one of my old emails that I don't really use. Cool. Company. Now, depending on if the service provider has different locations, in this instance, I put 2 example company data using my agency name. So I have Control Electric and Control Drywall. So I'm going to put Control Drywall. If it's Control Drywall, then that means the location is going to pre-fill to San Francisco. If it's Control Electric, it would be Los Angeles. All right, and then the date of the contract will be today, 6/13/2025. So I'm going to send that. They're going to confirm the information with me. I'm going to say yes. And for some reason, there's an issue here. Oh, I didn't have the workflow on, sorry. So I turn on the workflow. Let me try that one more time. Try it again. Cool, confirm. Awesome, and you can see that the contract has successfully been sent. You can see that the 2-step has been processed. So if I actually go to my email, I can see that I just got a email. So I can review and sign it. And would you look at that? Everything is already pre-filled, ready for me to sign. That's the location, that's the date. So all I got to do is just sign this and we're good to go. So hopefully you guys found that valuable. You can copy this tutorial, use it, and call up local service providers and start printing money. Okay, cool. So first we're going to start with a blank end canvas. So I'll create a workflow. And the number one thing you want to do here is scope everything out. Because I've had the advantage of, or because I was able to make this already, what I'm going to do is pretend that I couldn't. So why don't I just go into Whimsical and scope out the project. I haven't logged into Whimsical in a long time. Cool. So let's do a new project. So we want a few things. We're building a custom GPT, and we want to have the custom GPT be the interface. So why don't I just, so we'll do the custom GPT. So it's GPT, and that'll be the user interface. And then next, So how I'm envisioning this is the user, someone at the remodeling company, is going to input certain things to the custom interface or to the GPT, right? The GPT then just sends the data over to N8N. So what will happen here is it'll collect the data, webhook, right? And this could be like, that'll be a webhook. So now it's going into N8N, user interface. So we're collecting data here. Now we're in the N8N workflow here. And then the webhook is going to send information over to the contract sender. So we're going to be using DocuSeal. That's the preferred contract sender that this company wanted to use. So we'll use the HTTP request and we'll send over the data into there, and we'll have to look into their API docs. If you're unfamiliar with the API is, it's just it allows for different types of technologies to communicate with one another. That's really all it is. So GPT sends over the data to a webhook. Webhook receives the data and then sends over to the contract generator. Once that's done, we're going to want to store the information into a database. So Google Drive, once everything is signed, then we'll just send it. So, I mean, it's pretty easy, right? I don't want to look back at the workflow that I built because I don't want to cheat. So that's what we're going to be doing. So why don't I go to the blank? Actually, no, I'll need to make a custom GPT. So I'm going to go to my GPTs. We'll create a custom one. And in my custom GPT, what you're going to want to build out is a schema. So in order to build out a schema, you got to look at what the contract you're drafting up is. So in this case, we have a template already, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. And so this is the subcontractor agreement. And I'm just going to stick to one page for the sake of, simplicity, because you can see we have a lot of pages here. And the reason why is because I believe there's like tax information somewhere in here. Yeah, like there's W-9 information, which we don't really need to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick to this first page only. So we'll put in the name. I don't know, we'll put in the date, the year, the name, and the city location. Cool. So what I'll do is create a custom API spec is what I'll tell this GPT. So I'll do create a custom API spec to send. Hold on. This GPT is the user interface contract generated. Data, it will collect input should be. So let's go back to the document and let's see what we're going to be collecting. So I want to collect everything minus the W-9 stuff. I feel like that's a little bit too much. Yeah. Let's just look through here to the company, to the contractor. So it'd be the name, address. Maybe I should make a custom contract for myself. Maybe I'll do that. So we'll create a new one. Construction dash contract. Cool. So we have a new contract here. I'll upload it. Perfect. So in this case, the contractor will always be me. But why don't I have the first party be, yeah, that's first party, and then we'll add a second party. And for the first party, it'll be the client's name. So we'll just, I think and you can do the same thing for using these other contract senders and just look into their API docs, and it's virtually the same thing. So we'll have the client name, and then we'll do let's see, client name, and then we'll go to second party. The second party will be me, and that will be, I'll just do my agency name. So it'll be control flow. And then the date will be with the first party. Actually, the date should be the second party. So the date will be here. And then we'll put that date, effective date. Second party will also be here. Work agreement. We'll do services agreement. Cool. And we'll just skip all this. Yeah. I want to show you a couple of cool things that we could do where, depending on the location, everything gets pre-filled. So, like for example, yeah, we'll do that. So we'll leave that alone. We'll save this. And then we have the template number up here. So why don't I go back to the custom GPT? Or why don't I take a look? And the client will get, I'll put a location here. So let's pretend there's like a location up here in the corner. And this will be the second party. So let's say I had two locations, right? Cool. So all these variables I'm gonna want to collect, I'm gonna want to put in my custom API spec. So you have the contractor, which would be me. You have the client name, you have the effective date, and then the services agreement. So depending on the location of this, the location of my business, for example, let's say one location I only hire like drywall subcontractors, and then a different location I hire, let's say I hire electricians, right? So let's say I have two separate service businesses. One is for electricians and then one is for drywall. Then I can have this custom GPT receive specific input like the location of my business, for example, and it'll populate, yeah, it'll pre-fill based off the location, whether it's going to be business one, which is electrical services, or business two, which is drywall. So I'm going to go back here. I don't want to remember all these variables. So it's the client name, date, services agreement, and location. So let me go back to the GPT. And I'm going to say, this GPT is the user interface of a contract generator. The data it will collect as input should be business location. And I'm putting the variables in quotes so the API spec knows what to label each one as. So you'll see what I mean. So business location will be location. We'll do client name. Client name. We'll do company. Company. Yeah, that should be company. So we'll switch this over. So let's just say I had, okay, this is going to make more sense. Let's just say I had two different companies, and one was for electrical services, and then one was for drywall services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have company here, and it'll, based off the location that we choose or which business that we choose, it'll already pre-fill one or the other. So in this case, I'm going to have the company be the input that it receives, and it'll already pre-fill the location based off that. So that's what we'll do. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. And then date will be date. GPT can pre-fill location based the company. And two company options are, so I'm going to do my agency, but like with the twist on it. So it'll be Control Electric or Control Drywall, right? If Control Electric, then select Los Angeles. And if Control Drywall, then it will be San Francisco. Cool. So that should be enough to create an API spec. Let's give it a second, and then we'll go into the configuration and see what's going on. So if I go to configure, we have the dates here. Let's see if we have the API specs somewhere. So those are conversation starters. Create new action. Oh, there we go. So then we'll go into a new chat GPT. And I'll say create the API spec for this cheese. I have this like, whoa, what's that? I have this keyboard. If you guys like haven't heard it, I'm sure you can hear it. And it sounded good at first, don't get me wrong. Like I do like it, but it's too small. Like I prefer the Apple keyboard. Cool. So we're gonna generate an API spec, and what we do is just going to copy this and then paste it into our custom GPT. So the GPT assistance was able to give us a prompt, and then we just took that prompt, put it into a different GPT to create an API spec. An API spec is going to be found within the actions. So the actions is what allows you to like create some schema. So I'm going to create a new action, right? I don't need any additional authentication, but if you wanted to make it secure, you can add an API key or OAuth. And then you do need a URL to make it go live. So I like to just put my own. So here we go. This looks good. So I don't know if I need the description. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna put it back into our API spec. And then notice how it says could not find a valid URL in servers. The reason why is because it's looking for a webhook. So I just gotta find the place where I can put the webhook, and we'll be okay. So what I'll do is I'll go to my N8N workflow, and then I'll add a webhook. And then we'll copy our webhook. Paste it in. Copy this, go back here. Awesome. Cannot find a valid URL in servers. What does that mean? Um, Okay, there we go. Let's see if this works. There we go. Cool. So I just gave it my error and it was able to respond properly. So now we have the right input. So we're looking good. Awesome. And then we have a couple different paths here. Contract created. I don't know if I need contract generated. I just need contract created. We'll see what happens. I'll just keep that for now. Cool. So what we have, we're going to test this. So now that we have the, let me remove myself. So now that we have the API spec built within our custom GPT, we'll test it out here. If I can move this thing. All right, cool. So look at how it already gives me preset conversation starters. I don't think I'll need this one. I don't think I'll need this. I don't know what this third one is. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. So let's see what happens. Can you send a new contract? They're going to need the following information. So for the client name, let's just do John Doe. And then this will be for my electrical company. And then the date will be 07/21/2025. Cool. So if I confirm this, it'll talk to the connector, which will be the webhook. And because I didn't have it live, there's a possibility that that didn't send. So let me refresh this. Hey guys, so the other day, N8N was conveniently just down for a few hours, but we are back and I'm picking up right where I left off. And I just want to make sure that I finished the API spec, and I think I did. So let's just see where I'm at. So send a new contract. To generate your contract, these are the following things we need. Cool. So if we map this out correctly, what's going to happen is this data is going to get pre-filled and sent over into our contract generator. We're using DocuSeal. So we have the client name, the company name, and then the date. So let me just make sure that I understand what city we did for the electric, and then what city did we do for drywall. So I'm going to test this out in a second. Let me just see if I have. I don't even think I made a webhook yet. Yeah, no, I didn't. So I'm going to make a new one real quick. So what we're going to do is we need to send this data over. So we're going to go to webhook, and then we're going to create a new one. This is going to be it. Let me just save this, and this will be the custom GPT YouTube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this webhook, go back to the custom GPT, and ensure that that is in our API spec. So if I go to actions, we can see that this is the API spec, and we have this webhook here. Now, I don't think I need, so this is a server, This is the path. So I'm going to create a new path. And it's going to be backslash webhook dash test. So I'm going to copy that, go back to our custom GPT, and I'm going to paste it here. And the reason why is because whatever webhook I had before was different. And because N8N like died on me, I just created a new scenario. So this is where I'm going to post the path right here. This is in our API spec. And then you can see here that we have the payload. Cool. So I'm going to save this and this should be fine. So if I select control electric, then the address that's going to pre-fill is going to be Los Angeles. Whereas if I select drywall, it's going to be, San Francisco. And the reason why I'm doing that as an example is because if you wanted, or like if a company had different branches or sections or locations, then you can simplify the input or the interface of the GPT by pre-identifying which location this payload is going to go to or this payload is for, by answering, a simple question like maybe if they go by a different title or they go by a different, like there's some sort of mark that's different that will represent a branch or something of that sort. So we're going to send over a new contract. Let me make sure that's saved. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me just go back. Send a new contract. Cool, we're going to listen for a new event. We're going to go back here. That's the wrong one. And I'm going to say the client name is Johnny Cash. Company is going to be Control Electric. And then the date's going to be 9, it's like, what is that, 9? Now let's do 6 because that's what we're in. 6, 13, 20, 25. Cool, so the location is pre-filled because that's what I have in the GPT instruction, which is Los Angeles. And I'm going to hit confirm, talking to the connector. Cool, so it says that it was successful. Why don't we go over to N8N and see if it was, and I don't see it working, so let's figure out why. Oh, it's supposed to be a GET request. That's why. So you can see here we have a GET request. We want it to be post, so I'm going to put stop listening, and then let's change this to post. There we go. So let's listen now. Yeah. And then we'll just have this GPT send it again. Confirm. Sorry guys, that's the wrong one. Now I'm wondering if the URL is different. So let me just copy this. It looks like it's the same. So it's post path. Well, it says this is the path, so I'll copy this instead. Listen for the event. I'll go back here. I'll go to the action down here. And I'll get rid of webhook test. And let's see if anything happens. It's not working. I don't know what this contracts path is. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna go to chat and then see what happens. Can you correct this API schema, API spec, not receiving any data to this webhook when testing. So I'll go here, copy the webhook, go to the API spec, copy it, and then let's see what's going on. Cool, so the webhook endpoint doesn't need ref, whatever that is. So let's take this final corrected spec snippet and let's see what happens. So I'm going to copy this, go back here, paste it in here. Looks like it's fine. There's no errors. So I'm going to say send a new contract. And this time we'll do John Doe. And then we'll do control drywall. And then we'll do today's date, June 13, 2025. Yeah, confirm. So there was an error. Not sure why. Let's try it again. I didn't have it on. Confirm. Cool. So it looked like it worked this time. Yeah, we have it right here. So we needed to have the webhook on, but perfect. So we have the body, client name, company, date, location. So what we're gonna do with this information now is we're gonna generate a contract. So if we go to DocuSeal, we can see that we have this contract. So we want some things that are pre-filled, right? And you can do this with PandaDoc. I honestly think that PandaDoc or all these other contract senders are probably easier to work with. But if you can do it with this, then I'm sure you can figure it out with the other ones. I'm just giving you an example because I did this for a client already. So this will be client name. And I'm naming these variables because we're going to use this to pre-fill in the HTTP request. So we have the client name, contractor will always be us, I guess. It'll be a company name, right? And then, yeah, so company name will be us here, and then we'll do like the city here, right? It'll just be location. And then the date. And you can do this with all sorts of, variables or mappings. And then we'll do today's date. We'll just call it, what do we call it in the N8N workflow? Let's see, the body, it's called date, so we'll just call it date. Yeah, we'll just call it date and everything else. Awesome. So we have the client name, company name, location, and then date. And this will be like a one-sided contract. This will just go to the first party only. And this is a hypothetical situation, but you can add multiple parties to this if you wanted to. So I'm going to hit save. Oh, wait, what just happened? Okay, so I'll remove the second party. We don't need that. Yeah, awesome. And then we'll do a signature here. Cool, save. Cool, and then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to the API docs of DocuSeal API. I'll go here. And then you can see we're going to want to create a submission. So that's where we're going to click. This is going to be our endpoint. So why don't we figure out how to do this? We're going to create a submission and we're going to want to pre-fill some of this stuff. Pre-fill PDF fields, Cool. So we'll do pre-filled document. Yeah. So what's really cool about N8N is I can import the I don't even know what you would call this, like all this data. So I don't have to, I really don't have to go through the trouble of typing it all. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to copy this. We're going to go back to our N8N workflow. We're going to create a HTTP request. We're going to import the curl. That's where you're going to paste this stuff. And what you're going to want to do is put your API key from DocuSeal as well as the template ID. So if I go to the URL of the actual document, which is here, that's where I'm going to find the template ID. So I can just paste that in here. And then my API key. So I'm going to go to DocuSeal. I'm probably going to edit this part out because I don't want you guys, using my API key. Cool. So you actually can't even see it. So I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back. This command is an unsupported format. That's unfortunate. I wonder why. Why don't I copy the key? Son of a gun. Well, I just showed my API key. Let's go back here. I'm going to copy the curl once more. Go back here. Import. How is that unsupported? Let's see if it works now. Huh, that's so funny. So for some reason, it's not supported. Let me try it one more time. Oh, that's weird. I guess we'll do it manually then. Whatever. Doesn't seem right though. Let's try it. Let me just try it with a different HTTP request. Jesus. New HTTP request, import, we'll change it to post. We'll import the curl. And for whatever reason, it's not working. That's unfortunate. Why does this curl save? Jeez. All right, well. When in doubt, it doesn't seem to be good enough for N8N apparently. All right, well, that's fine. We'll do it manually. So go to post. The URL will be this right here. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to go over here. None headers, okay. So none will send the headers, and then they will be XAuth token. and then content dash type. So we'll do content dash type, application, JSON, and then our API key, which we have here, which I copied and exposed for everybody. What other parameters? I think that's about it. Send body, yes. Let me go here as an example. And then I use JSON. Yeah, that's what I did. Cool. So then what I'll do is I'll go to the API doc, and then this will be the body. And what I'll do is I'll use ChatGPT to format this. So let me go to chat and figure out what presets do we want. So let's go here. We'll paste it in here. We have the template ID, which is in this URL somewhere. Yeah. Edit. So that's the template ID. Go back. Paste that there. Cool. And then the email will be populated by the JSON. So let me see. I just realized that this custom GPT needs to collect some sort of email. So we got to fix that and think about that. Yeah. Okay. So we got to fix this payload. So let me open up a new ChatGPT, fix this to add an email. Cool, so we have email added. So we're gonna copy that, go back to chat, paste that, make sure that that looks good, which it does, and then I'm going to add an email. So I'll do client name, and then we'll do email. I'll do client email. Yeah. Nice. So we added that, and then now let's test it. Yeah, cool. So now we have a field for the email. So what we'll do is we'll go back to here, and what we're going to want to do is copy this and paste it back into our body. And I'm just going to save that for right now. And then I'm going to listen for a new event so I can see where I can map this data. So that's, while we're listening, I'm going to fill this out. So the client name, let's just use me for example. So it's going to be me, my email, company, let's do electric, and then the date of the contract will be today. Cool. Once, if that looks good, you just hit confirm. And it looks like we got the data and it's all stored here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my HTTP request and we can map this data. So you can see the body is here. And I'm going to go down to the body content. I'm going to open this up. And now the email will be mapped here. So if I just scroll down to body, you can see that we have the email, and I'll just map that right in there. And then the fields that I want to pre-fill will be customer name, and the default value will be mapped. So I'll go back here and I will add a client name, right? And we'll leave that on to read only, or you can turn that off and they can customize it if they want. And so the next one we have here will be after customer name, I think we have company. So we'll call it company. And these names are associated to the variables in the contract, and the value will be mapped. So for company, I would map the value here, and it'll be read only. And now I want to add location and date. So what I'm going to do is, I'm sure I could just honestly type it. Let me just read this real quick. Yeah. Name. And then it'll be date, comma, default value, it'll be JSON, date, it'll be dot body dot date. Yeah. Nice. Cool. And then that'll be read only as well. Read only. True. Hopefully that's right. Let's try it one more time. Tab, curly bracket, name, and then this will be location. Default value. JSON dot body dot, is it date? No, it's location. Okay. And then comma, read only, true. Cool. So I'm just going to take all this and make sure it's proper. This is proper. Cool. So small syntax issues. Just gonna copy this, go back, and we are good to go. Cool. So I'm going to, I can just execute the step from here. So I think I'm going to do that instead. So if this is correct, then what's going to happen is we are going to get a contract sent to this email with certain things filled out and for me to sign. So I'm going to execute this step and let's see what happens. Could not be processed. Unknown field customer name. Okay, cool. I know exactly why. We don't have a customer name in our DocuSeal. It's called client name. So if I go back to DocuSeal, you can see it's called client name. So I'm going to save that. Everything else though, I know we have company name, we have location, we have date. It's client name. It's not company name. So because the HTTP request couldn't map that variable, it failed. So let me go back here. Client name, easy. Let's execute that step. Why? Invalid or could not be processed by the service. Okay, let's figure out why. Unknown field, company. All right, let me look at this. Oh, it's the role. I think that's why. Role first party. Okay. So it's email and then role. Is there a comma? Let's try that out. Hopefully that's it. So I'm going to try it one more time. I think let me check if the token's correct. Yeah, XAuth token. Oh, there is no application JSON header, so I guess I'll just get rid of that. And I'm just matching from a different scenario that I know worked before. So let's try it again. Okay. So something is up. If I go to the DocuSeal API, let's figure out why. Submissions, header. Let me see. 12.15.614. 12.15.614, that's right. And does that need to be in quotations? No, it doesn't. Send email true. I think that's why. Yeah, so I'll just do send underscore email true. So what I'm doing is I'm just copying what I see in a different HTTP request. The send email true feature isn't on, so maybe that could be one thing right there. So I'm going to try that. Submitters, we have the first party that looks correct. X-auth-token looks correct. Headers are on. Post request is on. That's the same. So let's try. Interesting. Error unknown field company. So if we go to DocuSeal. Oh, it's company name. I'm so sorry, guys. Company name. There we go. Let's try it now. Awesome. That's what it was. My mistake. Cool. So the node executed successfully. I just received an email. So why don't I go into my inbox and I hit refresh. And I see the email right here. I actually have a bunch because I was testing some other stuff earlier. So you can see everything is pre-filled. So we have the client, which was me, the contractor, right? The location, and then we can even go as far as to pre-fill the services, all that stuff. And as soon as I sign this, there's already a system embedded on DocuSeal's backend that will just confirm that this person signed and let you know that it's all finished. So I hope you found this useful. I'm going to show you the walkthrough one more time. So what we have here is a system that automatically sends out contracts, pre-fills them based off a custom GPT. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save. I'm going to turn on the workflow, and it's 2 steps. It's super easy. And this example is to stimulate your brain to allow you to think of how you can implement this for local service providers and save them anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes when generating their contracts by just talking to a chatbot, right? It's that easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our chatbot or our custom GPT, and I'm going to say, hey, send a new contract. Cool. So the client name, let's say the client name is Jimmy Hendricks. Client email, let's do one of my old emails that I don't really use. Cool. Company. Now, depending on if the service provider has different locations, in this instance, I put 2 example company data using my agency name. So I have Control Electric and Control Drywall. So I'm going to put Control Drywall. If it's Control Drywall, then that means the location is going to pre-fill to San Francisco. If it's Control Electric, it would be Los Angeles, right? And then the date of the contract will be today, 6/13/2025. So I'm going to send that. They're going to confirm the information with me. I'm going to say yes. And for some reason, there's an issue here. Oh, I didn't have the workflow on, sorry. So I turn on the workflow. Let me try that one more time. Try it again. Cool, confirm. Awesome, and you can see that the contract has successfully been sent. You can see that the 2-step has been processed. So if I actually go to my email, I can see that I just got a email. So I can review and sign it. And would you look at that? Everything is already pre-filled, ready for me to sign. That's the location. That's the date. So all I got to do is just sign this and we're good to go. So hopefully you guys found that valuable. You can copy this tutorial, use it, and call up local service providers and start printing money. Anyway, catch you in the next video. Thanks.